Hello. I do believe I'm live. That over there, make that a more reasonable size. There we go. There. Now all my screens are the right size, so I can see what I'm doing, and I can carry on with today. Welcome to Tuesday at my sewing room. Happy to have you along for another little demo today. We've got something fun to do that's different than we did last week, which is what we all like the best, is something slightly different. I believe it's now technically spring. Happy spring. Sandy might elaborate on that more tomorrow, because she's much better at keeping track of the special days of the year than I am. So Leah at my sewing room. Today we are carrying on with a project that seems to have no end in sight, but it's been lots of fun, and I'm going to keep going until I run out of space to decorate. And that is our Aster and Anne zippered pocket bag. So over the last 2 weeks, we've done a couple different little demos. We're up to, I think today will be machine number 4, because that's how I roll. We're not using a sewing machine today. We're gonna do a two-part in our multi-part already series. So this is a little felt project pre-cut package. It's made by Wonderful. It's from a series of project kits called Aster and Anne. And so we've done some felting, we've done couching, twin needlework, decorative stitching, we've done some couching and some chain stitch on a cover stitch. And today we're going to cut some applique for a more traditional applique that we'll stitch down Thursday, because we can't stitch it. We can't cut and stitch today. It's too many steps. So we'll cut today and then we'll stitch on Thursday. So eventually we'll have a little zippered bag with decoration all over it. I think I'm going to aim for the next little bit of decoration to be here-ish. We're going to applique on top of my felting, because why not? I have that option. I can decorate this bag however I want, and if you want to play along, you can too. So tools that we're going to need today. First thing you're going to need, I'm going to go right in and cut weird fabric. Sometimes when I try and do that live, it all goes horribly wrong, but I did test earlier, so I feel like I'm ready to go. Today we will be using the Brother ScanNCut. In stock right now we have the Brother SDX 325, which is, as of March of 2023, is the latest and greatest ScanNCut out there in the Canadian market. It is lovely. Absolutely adore working with it. And there's most wicked little tool came out for it a little while ago, but I haven't done many videos with it. And it's the Rotary Auto Blade kit. So the Rotary Auto Blade is a new type of blade for the machine that is designed to cut fabric more like how we cut fabric with a rotary cutter than the other type of knife. So the standard blades that come with the machine and the fabric blade are more like little tiny X-Acto knives. Let's switch to the other camera here. Get that dialed in just a little bit tighter. Right about there. You can see the back side of my display there. So there's a tiny little knife in there. Tiny little knife. Looks like an X-Acto knife. This is not always the friendliest blade for all fabric types. And there is the fabric blade, which is a little bit better for most fabrics. But since then, they also came out with the Rotary Auto Blade. And it's a slick little piece of equipment, because it is just that. It is a tiny little mini blade. Looks like a rotary cutter, rolls like a rotary cutter. With all the fabulous technology built into the ScanNCut to cut accurately and cut all sorts of shapes. But the variety of fabric you can cut with the Rotary Auto Blade is way higher than what you could cut with the true blade. So fabrics with more texture, fabrics with more piles to them. There's just lots more options because it doesn't drag through the fabric like the traditional blade does. So the blade holder comes all assembled. This blade is a wear item, so if you get too excited and you cut absolutely all the fabric you have in your house this way, you might need to replace your blade at some point, but you don't need a whole new blade holder. So I'm going to put that Rotary Auto Blade in. We'll fire up my ScanNCut patiently while it turns on. It's on just before I went live, and then it had timed out and went back to sleep, which is okay. It is allowed to go to sleep. And then we get to go in and start looking for designs and patterns that we might like to play with. The ScanNCut has a whole bunch of designs built in, but it also has the ability to scan in designs. So if I felt like starting from scratch and I had, say, an applique pattern from a great company like Patchabilities, I could use one of those patterns. It would be fabulous. But for today, I'm just going to use one of the built-in designs because there's some cool ones in there. So we're going to start that way, and we'll do a little bit of cutting so that we have something to stitch down on Thursday. So I'm just going to go into patterns, and these are all the built-in patterns. So there's basic shapes, there's some lettering, there's all sorts of crazy things. I'm going to go into this middle folder. Anything with two kind of shapes and colors there is another folder of designs. And then there's more options. And well, I might really like to cut a bicycle out. Not sure it's entirely what I want for today's project, but that is the folder I'd like to go in. No, it's not. That's the transportation folder. There's another folder. Ooh, this one. I got all excited earlier about cutting out the gear, and then I got in there and found little tiny scissors, which I thought were super cute. So I think, because this is a sewing project, I'm going to aim for scissors. And then we're going to find some fabric and we'll cut this out. That's where we're headed with this. We're going to cut. It will be great. Kind of the next thing we need, we have the rotary auto blade in. I am also using fabric, so I'm going to grab the Brother fabric mat. The fabric mat comes with the SDX 325, but it's an add-on for the SDX 225. Dropped the mat on the floor a minute ago. It wasn't a big fan of that. Put dust on all the wrong things. I was trying to read the pattern. Oh, try one more time. We will not try one more time. One more mat back here. Let's try the other one. It's not a fabric mat. Okay, we'll go with this mat. This is now a standard mat, which we're going to segue to something different than the original intent, and then I'll figure out why the mat that I had working for my test not that long ago is now not reading. We'll figure that out. I have some fabulous orange fabric. Adhered to the back of this orange fabric is Brother's applique contact sheet. So this is a double-sided fusible that Brother makes that coordinates and sticks really nicely to the Brother standard mat. And it is like a 2-layer fusible. So I can use this to adhere to my fabric and then adhere my fabric to my project in the next step. So I'll be able to iron whatever I cut out onto my bag. I have to check the heat setting to make sure that I don't melt the felt bag. But I can cut this out this way. So I've got the fabric loaded on the mat, and I think I'm going to leave the scissors the default size that they are. And I'm going to okay. And I just need one pair, I think. I'm gonna hit set. And then I'd like to make sure that I'm actually cutting where there's fabric. So I'm going to do a background scan and hit start. So this will essentially take a picture of the mat to show me exactly where my fabric is, so that if I was cutting this out of weird little applique scraps that I've got, weird scraps of fabric, great place to cut your applique out of, making sure that the applique does fit in the little scrap that you're trying to put it in. And my scissors are definitely showing up in there. I can see them. They're not too close to the edge at any point, so I think I'm okay. And then I can tell the machine that I would like to cut. And usually I like to tell everybody to do a test cut first. And it has automatically loaded a little tiny circle, and I'm just going to put that little circle down out of the way so I don't have a little circle hole way in the middle of my fabric, because that wouldn't make me happy. The advantage to doing that little tiny test cut first is that it will do the test cut and then it will pause, let you check before you carry on and actually cut your fabric. So I'm going to hit start. And the machine knows it's got that rotary auto blade in. It's pretty smart. Other than one little, my fabric lifted slightly. Other than one little blip that didn't cut, I have a tiny little fabulous orange circle all cut and ready to go. So I'm happy with the depth and the way that that cut. I'm going to hit start. And then the machine will go through and cut out my entire pair of scissors for me. Which, if you're struggling with, say, arthritis or dexterity, or you just want to be able to do a ton of applique and you don't like spending hours and hours tracing it, the ScanNCut might be the solution to many of your problems. The rotary auto blade works a little bit differently than the standard blade, because it does go and change the direction that that blade is sitting in its holder as it cuts. So other than a few tiny little spots that didn't quite cut, I can lift this off. I've got some other weird little maybe Easter egg shaped things I could use in another project. I can lift the whole project off. And here it's like one thread that didn't cut. And about one thread here that didn't cut. And one thread here that didn't cut. Oop. One little tiny thread down at the end there as well. So there I've got a fabulous pair of scissors that could go anywhere on my project. I think we're going to add the applique somewhere onto this side of the bag, over top of my felting, because why not? Maybe if I land those scissors right, it'll look like I'm cutting that felting apart. I've got options. We'll have to play around and see where that ends up. So we can cut many types of fabric. Changing out the mat and the blade combination will give you more flexibility. With the rotary auto blade and a fabric mat, I know I can cut thinner fabrics and thicker fabrics and cork. Be more careful with my fabric mat and check it for operation later on. Somewhere here, I did manage to cut wee little scissors earlier. out of Cuddle. So they don't have any backing on them, so I'll have to adhere them differently. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to use a little mini Cuddle scissors yet. Haven't decided if I'm going to stitch those down. They ended up a wee bit smaller than I thought. So the Cuddle fabric stuck super nicely to my fabric mat that I have to clean and adjust, and we'll get it up and rolling again. So we can add applique on top of our other details. Maybe that needs to be over here. There's options. There's no wrong answer. There's just more creative possibilities. The ScanNCut is cool. It can do so much. Maybe we'll add scissors like that. Maybe not. You'll have to tune back in Thursday to see where the scissors go on my bag. But yeah, the ScanNCut can cut some really cool things. Personally, I've done a couple landscape applique kind of quilts where there's lots and lots of trees. With pine trees take forever to cut by hand, let me tell you. But it's a really great way to cut applique pretty quickly. Some applique patterns are designed for really easy cutting, so they scan in really cleanly. Some companies are releasing applique patterns with SVG files, which is the scalable vector graphic file. The ScanNCut can read that. Other companies are releasing FCM, which is the brother format files. So there's companies releasing files that will work with the ScanNCut. Some, I know Kimberbell, if you're into Kimberbell embroidery, there's SVG files set up ready to be used on the ScanNCut. So you can cut applique for your embroidered quilt projects with ScanNCut as well. There's so many cool possibilities, and I think it might be something you would like to explore more. And depending what toys and tools you have at home, there's some really neat features that coordinate between the Brother ScanNCut and the Brother Luminaire. So something that we can work towards some more instruction on. We've been having conversations about ScanNCut and potentially a ScanNCut club. There's wheels turning in the background here at the store because a few of us have them, and there's lots of cool things we can do with them. So stay tuned, watch your email newsletter, and stay tuned on Facebook and YouTube for more announcements regarding more classes for those types of things. But for now, you can tune back in on Thursday. We will stitch some applique down. And then we're getting closer to having our bag finished, but I don't think we'll be done this week. So it'll keep going. It'll go into April at this rate. And we'll carry on. Happy stitching. Fabric in behind me. You probably can't tell really well what it looks like, but it's really cute. It's a great blender. It's from Art Gallery Fabrics, which I absolutely love the base cloth at Art Gallery. It's called Seedling. Hasn't quite hit the web yet, but it's here in store. And if you're looking for kind of a pink and gray quilt, this might be the line of fabric you need. Pink, mauve, light blue, dark denim-y blue. It's lovely. So that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you for joining me. And check back in another day for more Aster and Ann sew along and more fun stuff. Tomorrow's Wednesday. You'll get something fabulous from Sandy.